across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are, the weekend starts here. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I will be with you for 2 terrific hours of news, views and dynamic debate. That's right, 2 hours, not 3. At 9 p.m, a 60-minute Talk special, 1 year of Labour chaos. A compelling documentary looking back on 12 months of political catastrophe, courtesy of two-tier Keir and his calamitous cabinet crew. Enjoy. But from now until 9 p.m, we've got work to do. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000 or WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Friday, July the 14th. Here's what's coming up. First, I'll stage my own unhappy birthday party as we weep after the worst start by any British government ever. Talking of weeping, more on the tearful Chancellor as she admits that the failure to make any welfare savings at all will have to be reflected in her next budget. By that, Robert Reeves means she'll be forced to break her solemn promise not to hit long-suffering Brits with yet more tax rises. This is how Labour rolls, folks, taking money off people who work to give it to people who don't work, taxing the private sector to the hilt to hand billions to the public sector. Are you looking forward to 4 more years of Starmer's socialist paradise? 0344 499 1000 doesn't bear thinking about, does it? In other news, more on the migrant crisis as it emerges that the Home Office has no idea how many foreign workers remain illegally after their visas expired. This could add up to vast numbers, taking utter government incompetence to a whole new level, as revealed by Home Secretary Yvette Cooper's shambolic performance on Good Morning Britain. We'll show you that later. 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, over in France, les gendarmes have finally punctured a migrant's dinghy. How handy that a BBC film crew was on the scene to lovingly record this historic moment when a boat was actually stopped. But ahead of Macron's visit to London next week, was this a publicity stunt? 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, it's Jezbollah. Magic Grandpa Jeremy Corbyn's brand new far-left pro-Palestine political party. Old Corby is teaming up with comedy commie Zara Sultana in a breakaway that could seriously split the Labour vote. Won't that be a shame? 0344 499 1000. Plus, as classic British car maker Jaguar hemorrhages 97.5% of its sales after its thoroughly modern rebrand, could it be that if you go woke, you go broke? When are these companies, these virtue-signalling companies, going to learn? 0344 499 1000. And at 8 o'clock in an hour's time, we'll be joined by Reform's Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins, to get her take on the big stories of the week. Labour's year of living disastrously, of course. The crazy Ed Miliband's mad plan to put a windmill in every garden. God almighty. The fallout from the BBC's Glastonbury meltdown as, yet again, spineless Director General Tim Davie, the keystone cop of broadcasting, keeps his £580,000 a year job while, of course, deputy heads roll. When is this man going to take responsibility for the mess of an organisation he mismanages from one hapless crisis to the next? 0344 499 1000. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday night together. And And, of course, it being Friday, my Friday friend is here. He is Pete Barnes, political strategist, and he's a hell of a host these days. You're doing breakfast tomorrow.
I am, yeah. I'm on 6 till 10. I'm covering for Alex.
Well, I'll tell you what, because it's you, I won't be getting up to listen to you.
I did expect you to, Kevin, if I'm honest.
No, I will listen to you because I'm going to a wedding, so I'll have you on in the car.
Excellent.
But good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
You'll do a great job, I'm sure. Alex is off to Silverstone. Alex loves motor racing, cars. She thinks that's exciting.
Yeah. You just have to watch the first corner. Go do the rest of the day, come back, and nothing has changed.
When we worked together, we had a strange dynamic. She's the girl, the woman, of course. She absolutely loves motor racing. I can't stand it, Like, I just don't get it. I just find it really boring. But anyway, she'll have a great day and you'll do a great job tomorrow. So let's kick off. As I say, at 9 o'clock, we've got this it's an excellent documentary. Recommend it. I mean, it's full of doom and gloom, of course, but it's a laugh. Some of us being funny, some of us not. But seriously, have a look at that. 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock. I hope you'll enjoy that. But in the meantime, we'll have our own unhappy birthday party, Pete. Well, let's look back. I mean, do you know what? As I was just saying to Peter Cardwell, when Labour won that election, as we knew they would, last July the 4th, so effectively I guess they started on the following day, July the 5th. Think about this. If I'd have said to you, I'll tell you what, Pete, within a year, we'll be looking at the Chancellor of the Exchequer sobbing her heart out in the House of Commons. I bet you that's where we get to. You'd have thought that I was mad. Well, you probably did think that anyway, but seriously, what a symbol of the catastrophe of this government that 2 days ago, sitting in the chamber during Prime Minister's question time, is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, weeping like a baby. Yeah. Absolutely astonishing.
It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. I have to admit, I had it on in the background, and then I stopped and I had to watch it because I was like, this cannot be happening. That the Prime Minister was carrying on. She was weeping, and everybody just looked awkward as hell. But I will say, I'm surprised it took them a year to get this far. That's my thing, because the writing was on the wall, the chaos behind the scenes of the Labour Party. But during that election, in opposition, was clear to everybody. But because of the dumpster fire that was the Conservatives and the rise of reform, everybody else was just paying attention to something, look over there kind of situation. But you have to remember that they might have won the election, but I prefer to say the Conservatives lost it.
Well,
I think that's the better way.
It's fair enough to say that.
Because
as
people
the loveless landslide.
I think that's a brilliant phrase for it because
I coined it. Actually.
Yeah, it's a very good one.
That's a lie. I wish I coined it.
But again, it's just amazing to me just how quickly this has all just disintegrated, and it was being held together by lies. So many lies.
Absolutely. I mean, I've quoted you before. Andrew Neil, about a month ago, wrote a piece in the Mail just saying that he's been covering Westminster politics for 55 years. He said he's never really known a government to sort of lie in particular ever. They usually use circuitous language to get round the awkward truth. This government, Keir Starmer and his acolytes, they just stare us in the face and lie. Yeah. They just tell lies. So, if we say to Keir Starmer, this has been a pretty bad year. No, it hasn't. It's been a triumph. No, it's this automatic rebuttal of the truth. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but, Mike, I didn't know whether you saw it. Keir Starmer yesterday when he said that is a perfectly human response.
Yeah, what would he know about
exactly, that? Was literally your voice appeared in my head saying that like he would know what it means to be human. Because again, it was just amazing that like you said, they get up there, they lie, but I think what's happened, the world and reality has hit them in the face like you've never seen. Yeah. The reality of the consequences of what they've done has come home to roost, and unfortunately it's us, the taxpayer, that has to pay for their incompetence.
Yeah, and as I was just saying to Peter Cardwell, obviously I don't like their politics. They're socialists. I don't like socialism much, and I don't like Labour policies. I never have. So I was all geared up, like most of, let's be honest, like most of the talk presenters, a lot of journalists, predisposed to fight Labour, to be against Labour. That's the way we are. We're right-leaning. We don't like Labour. So that's the name of the game. It's the hue and cry and the push and shove of political journalism, of the political arena. So we were expected to say, you and your rubbish left-wing policies and all that. it's gone way beyond politics.
It has.
Yeah,
It really
I've
has.
stopped thinking about them politically. I just think about them in terms of their competence or their shocking lack thereof. They are utterly, utterly, chaotically incompetent.
The way I'm looking at it now is how far can this country fall
It's
and how much
bad,
longer
isn't
can
it?
we afford this? And I use that word afford very deliberately because the economic crisis that this government is about to cause is going to make 2008 look like child's play.
Yeah, in this documentary, we'll play a little clip that I'm in a minute. I actually said this. I said, you know, this has been a frightful 1 year. But I am genuinely frightened about what's going to happen in the 4 years ahead. Shall we watch a little clip from 1 year of chaos? This is me, I think.
It is a Tory bloodbath. That is not overplaying it. That is not an exaggeration of what has happened, what the British people have said in their votes today. The British people have spoken and they've said goodbye Rishi Sunak, hello Keir Starmer.
When Labour won the landslide election, the loveless landslide, I was absolutely delirious. They're so happy you just couldn't believe it.
We did it! I had the cold sweats. I sought some medical assistance.
I just thought, it's going to happen. It has happened. Here we are. What's next?
We will carry the responsibility of your trust as we rebuild our country.
They were promising the world.
There is so much work to be done to turn around both our economy and our public services.
And for 14 years, they sat in the wings, in the shadows.
OK, so Labour's won the landslide. Who's going to be in the cabinet?
I am going to return.
And I'm proud to serve as His Majesty's British Ambassador to the United States of America.
I didn't think for 1 minute they'd have that idiot David Lammy as Foreign Secretary.
We've got a business secretary who's never been in business. We've got Chancellor of the Exchequer that can't add up.
It's got worse and worse and worse.
I haven't even got to Angela Rayner, who's actually not as bad as everybody thought she might be, because everybody else is so awful. It's literally an unmitigated disaster, hilariously so.
Peter Mandelson, Lord Mandelson, he has never been right once in his entire mistake, scandal-ridden career, has he? Never been right. He's totally wrong about absolutely everything. And there he is, our man in Washington. Unbelievable.
Talk about failing upwards.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but the thing that really gets me is when you watch back in the last year, it is just the preposterousness of all of it. But I will say that this is now a moment for us to actually learn to hold opposition parties to account, because this can never happen again. A party cannot enter Parliament, into power, with no plan, no idea what they're doing. This is a real moment for everybody to pay attention.
Let's put a question out to our wonderful audience. Look, you know, we could list the mistakes and the horrors that have happened, but we'd be here till about kind of 3:05 in the morning, so we need another 9 hours or something.
We need another year.
I mean, you know, I can just let's just reel off the recent U-turns. So we've got a spineless Prime Minister who's had so many U-turns he must be getting dizzy. Winter fuel, complete U-turn on that. And by the way, so what happened with winter fuel allowance was they axed it, of course, and soon afterwards, not that long afterwards, fairly recently, well, they took it exactly back to where it was. It is now exactly the same as it was before it was axed. Every pensioner will now get the winter fuel allowance, and they say the richer ones will be taxed for that amount. But every pensioner, whether they're a billionaire or a pauper, will get their 300 quid come October. So they've completely capitulated on that. Of course, there was the rape gang inquiry that we didn't need, according to Labour. Absolutely not. Why didn't they need it? Because, of course, most of these awful, terrible crimes, the rape gang crimes, happened in Labour administrations. A lot of Labour politicians with questions to answer. Keir Starmer, not particularly active as Director of Public Prosecutions from 2008 to 2013. Not very many prosecutions of rape gang members during his tenure, even though that was the period of time when the rape gang scourge was at its worst. So Labour, very uncomfortable, so they said, oh, we don't need an inquiry. The only reason they said that was because they didn't want one. Now they've been forced into a U-turn on that, thank God. And now, of course, the recent welfare reform. And he even U-turned on his Island of Strangers speech, the only decent speech he's made since he came into power. He said he bitterly regrets that. So this guy, every single thing he says, just expect him to U-turn on it the next day. You can't trust a thing he said. So that's just a quick summary of some of the low points. But I wonder what you, audience, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary people, that's...
I never thought I'd hear you say that. Where's Kevin O'Sullivan? Where's he gone? I know it's Pride, but calm down.
Yes, Pride is Pride tomorrow. No, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think. What for you has been the worst moments, the worst moment, perhaps one moment that for you sums up how bad this government is bad. Give us a call. Let me know the really bad moments that struck you. 0344 499 1000. We're going to talk to Andrea Jenkins about the sobbing and all that a bit later. But just for the record, we did this last night as well. The Labour war-gamed what they were going to do about the Chancellor sobbing in the Commons. A public fit of crying that you can laugh about it, you can be sympathetic. By the way, on a human level, I was sympathetic. I'm a bloke. I don't like to see a woman cry. You know, I've been getting a lot of flack for that, but I don't care who it is. I just can't. It has a visceral effect on men watching women cry. So I didn't like it. I felt sorry for her. That said, I've got no sympathy for her as a politician. She's a dreadful Chancellor, and she has made decisions that, for example, probably made quite a few 100,000 pensioners cry, given that she condemned them to freezing to death. So, you know, don't get me wrong, but here's the thing. She sobbed and they war-gamed it. How are we going to... but by the way, when she was seen crying, in case you just think, oh, it's just a meaningless incident, one of those things. The markets crashed. The pound crashed, the stock market crashed, and the bond market crashed. When the world sees that the woman in charge of the British economy is sobbing just after they've completely screwed up the welfare savings that they needed to make, the markets reacted. So this was a very significant moment. So Labour war-gamed it. Yeah. What are we going to say? Oh, let's have a personal matter. So yesterday, they were all on doing the media rounds like a bunch of parrots. Personal matter, it's a personal matter. You wouldn't expect us to tell you what it was. Well, yes, actually, we do. We do expect you to say. But the point is, it wasn't a personal matter. It was a professional matter. Yeah. She has screwed up the economy. She knows it. Apparently, she had a massive row, either with Keir Starmer or Pat McFadden, just before PMQs, because she has had the rug removed from under her feet, and she knows she's going to have to break her promise not to raise taxes, because we needed to make £5 billion worth of savings from our grotesque £300 billion welfare bill. That was a bare minimum. And as the 130 lefty backbenchers rebelled, Starmer capitulated. But so 3-4 days before, it was £5 billion worth of savings. By the day of the vote, it was down to £2 billion. Then just before the vote, it was down to less than £1 billion. And then the final capitulation, we didn't make any savings at all. They added £100 million to it. She's crying because of that.
Yeah, 100%. So I've just been thinking about it. The budget proved that this was a government that wanted ideology over practicality. Winter fuel, farming tax and welfare cuts had no impact assessments done, so that is recklessness. The Island of Strangers U-turn is weakness, and the gang rape shows the craven nature of power over principle. That's the last year, and it shows exactly why they should not be in power. It is everything wrong in politics in 1 year. laid bare. It is incredible, and that I don't have any sympathy for it. I completely agree with you. I don't like people crying around me. I'm northern. We get awkward when people show emotion. But I tell you now, you're right.
Hey, I'm from the London lower middle classes. You know, we know how not to cry.
That's true. Yeah, you've not. Yeah.
Do you know why? You know why I don't cry? I was telling the girls in the production office the other day. It's true. I'm so old that when I was at school, as a boys' school, if we cried, we were hit.
Yeah,
we were hit very hard. So teachers hit you. So I learnt not to cry. I'm so old that also I was at a school where the left-handed kids got hit.
Yes.
Don't use your left hand. Use your right hand.
But that's incredible. But you're so right though, because she's not just a woman. She's not just a politician. She's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. She's a symbol of this nation's economic credibility. That does not exist anymore. The only reason I've spent most of the yesterday and the day before in the city. The only reason she's still there is because the markets are terrified of what comes next. That is the only reason the market has rebounded as it is, because they need that over the terribleness that is impending on this nation. You know, again, I didn't. You know, I don't like to see. She was broken. It was not nice to see, and I did feel sorry for her. But it was unprofessional of her to go into the chamber in that state. You know, it would have been so much better. People would have gone, "Where's the Chancellor?" But it would have been better that she wasn't there. She could always say I had a very important meeting with the Bank of England or something. But to sit there sobbing before the world had a terrible effect. And for God's sake, Rachel, if you get upset again, just stay out of the Commons. For Why
God's
did nobody
sake.
pull her out? The political operation out of number 10 is the most amateur thing we've ever seen. This has been a catastrophe you thought Boris Johnson's number 10 was a circus? This lot, my God, it's Cirque du Soleil. It's ridiculous.
Cirque du Soleil. No,
you know,
it's a bit too stylish.
That's true, actually,
it's a circus of cruelty and joke. Listen, let's go to break because we've got some good developments, some interesting developments on the migrant crisis front. So that next, folks, stay tuned.
One year on.
And it's already falling apart.
We did it! Smash the people smuggling gangs.
There is no deterrent.
More and more migrants have come to Britain.
I thought Starmer would definitely last the 4 or 5 years. Now I'm thinking 2 maximum.
And it turns out that Keir Starmer had a wardrobe busier than David Beckham's.
One explosive hour.
U-turn after U-turn.
I'm frightened about how bad they are.
Absolute incompetence and deceit.
1 year of chaos.
Only on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, On your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, dramatic developments on the migrant crisis front. As you know, more than 2,000 have come over in the last 3 or 4 days. We calculated yesterday that this week's, as of yesterday, this week's group of migrants who've come over, this week's collection of migrants are going to cost us for the next year, over the next year, £82 million. That's just for 4 days worth. So it's going on. Still they come, still starving. Oh, smash the gangs. Oh, shut up, you idiot. You're never going to smash a gang. You haven't smashed any. Shut up. Anyway, one of the elements of this story, of course, has been the gendarmes, les gendarmes, the French police on the northern beaches. We've given them over the years £800 million, patrol their beaches properly. The net result of this seems to be they're now enmeshed in very expensive equipment, all these buggies and drones and helicopters and the expensive speedboats and aircraft. They've even got aircraft. So they're buying all this stuff with our money, but they're not actually stopping any migrants or stopping any boats. The migrants just walk across the beach and get onto the boats. However, hold the front page. The gendarmes have finally punctured a dinghy and sunk a boat. They've stopped a boat, and it's been lovingly recorded by the BBC. Watch this.
Okay. On security! Go, go, go! Okay, to your right, the policeman here. He's pulling them in, to your right.
Okay, right, well, there you go. So that's on the BBC. Now, how handy that there's a BBC crew there and a BBC reporter. This is in Boulogne-sur-Mer. Now, just coincidentally, next week, Macron is coming to Britain on a visit.
It's convenient, isn't it?
Do you think this might have been a publicity stunt?
Oh, I could possibly say. But, you know, when there's so many conveniences all happen at the same time, I mean, it is a little, it's just preposterous again, isn't it? But, do you know, how long is it until, you know, somebody starts saying, well, think of all the people that they could have killed. You know, we're going to now have some great moralising of how that was dangerous or whatever. It's just ridiculous. But all of this, I'm out of words to describe this crisis now. We obviously we talk about it every week, but it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And now we're getting to the preposterous level that we're having to have staged moments, because I don't believe that was just a coincidence. I just don't believe it.
Oh no, there's no doubt about it. That's a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
That's to make it look as if British and French cooperation is finally starting to work. They're sinking the boats, and the gendarmes are taking our money, and they're actually getting to grips with the migrant crisis. Oh, hello, Monsieur Macron. Welcome to Britain. Great that it's all going so well. Thank you very much for the BBC for helping us out with those publicity shots. Let's have another look at that, shall we?
Okay, they're slicing it. They're coming in to slice the boat now. The police have come in to slice the boat. Look at that guy, he's furious. Okay. On security! Go, go, go!
That was £800
to your right,
million.
the policeman here. He's pulling them in, to your right.
The reporter, they're slicing the boats there. They're slicing the boats. Hey, mate, how come you happened to be there?
Yeah.
How come? I mean, do they think we were born yesterday?
Yes.
Well, look, okay, let's get, well, let's ask you. Do you think, the audience, I mean, do you think that was real? I mean, it was real, but do you think that was set up? I mean, it's just so convenient, isn't it? Suddenly, the BBC happened to be there with a reporter. By the way, the reporter's up to his chest in water at one point, in the sea. So, is that a stunt, a publicity stunt? I think it's real, don't get me wrong. But they've done it for the cameras, in my view. What do you think? 0344 499 1000. And don't forget that as of yesterday, 82 million quid's worth of migrants across the Channel illegally. 2,082, as I recall. And yesterday, I think it was a 0 day, funnily enough.
Really?
That was filmed yesterday. I was hearing this morning that we might be in for a bumper day today. Somebody told me that there were reports that there may have been 200 migrants had crossed the Channel illegally and arrived on our south coast before 9 a.m. So it might be, I can't verify that, but it might be a big bumper day today. Weather very nice, all that. Let's talk about the other element of the migrant crisis. That is, of course, the ongoing shambles of the way this government, and in fairness, Tory governments before, 14 years of mismanagement by Tory governments and the Labour government. You've got to hand it to them, they've made it worse. Do you know, Pete, now, we've been saying almost habitually, oh, the number of migrants coming across the Channel legally is up 40% on last year. It's 48% now. 48% up. 48% up. So Labour have made it much worse.
That's such an important point, because they keep saying that we inherited. Yes, but you made it worse.
Yeah. Well,
that is
no mean feat.
It's kind of impressive in a way. I don't want to give them credit for something, but you know, the whole "hell my beer" thing has been taken to the nth degree. But
it's to you, Keir. Well done. You made it worse. Yeah, cheers.
But I mean, like, again, you just look at the statistics. Scrapping the Rwanda deal, you know, that shot everything through the roof. And every single marker of decisions that this government has taken, the numbers have gone up, not down. It is undeniable.
That decision by him was asinine, puerile, ridiculous. It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. Well, you've got no deterrence now. Anyway, back here, we learnt this today. This is extraordinary. This is extraordinary. Now, again, Tories, your lot, in 2020, they brought in a new scheme. It was for skilled worker visas, right? And this is the other side of our migrant crisis, really.
Arguably the bigger side of the migrant.
Much bigger. We're talking about 1 million a year sort of thing. These are the legal migrants. Anyway, they came up with this sort of skilled visa, foreign visa system. In 2020, they put this out to tender, if you like, to foreign countries. They got 1,800,000 applications, and a fair few of them came over. So we were getting like 1 million legal migrants coming in every year, many of them skilled workers on these visas. Turns out that they came here on their visas. The visas run out after a year, 2 years, whatever it was, and the government keeps no track of it. No track whatsoever. So they have no idea whether all these, it's probably millions of migrants that we've been letting in for the past 5 years, are still here or have gone back. Have they? Well, we know for a fact that a fair few of them, their visas end and then they apply for asylum. But many of them, we believe, still stay. They just stay. And here is Yvette Cooper on Good Morning Britain trying to explain this calamitous shambles.
As you rightly said, you referred to your last job in government. Help me, if you can, Home Secretary. How many illegal immigrants are there in the UK at the moment?
So we've got, obviously, the increase in the illegal migration has been taking place over a long period of time. I think what you're referring to is a report from the Public Accounts Committee that said over the last 5 years there was not a proper system for actually measuring whether people were leaving the country or not.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It is the Public Accounts Committee.
A very powerful committee.
Those are the ones. They've said, wait a minute. You know, you're not checking at this. So people are turning up on these legal visas, which usually last a year, and it seems many of them are staying, but the government and the Home Office are not checking on this. They're just not checking. So this is not an exaggeration, and this isn't specifically involving this story, but there are estimates that there could be 10 million migrants living in this country that we don't really know about. So when you hear that our population extraordinarily is now 70 million or something, it could be 80 million. So this is the sort of governmental incompetence that has resulted in the migrant crisis getting much, much worse. And there are two things here, Pete. I said this earlier to Alex Phillips. There are the two fundamental governmental responsibilities are this: keeping your citizens safe and knowing who the hell is here. They fail on both counts.
On both counts. So I always look at the small boats crisis is about a lack of political will. This is incompetence.
Yeah.
It is nothing short of grade A incompetence. You know, I remember not so long ago, the Office of National Statistics called for an emergency census because they didn't know how many people were in the country. That is staggering. The people who were supposed to count didn't know how to count anymore, which I was like, well, that's the most British thing that's ever happened at the moment. I mean, like, you could just sum this nation up in one story, but it is so important because out of that 1.18 million that came on those visas, 650,000 dependents came with them.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like your aunt's best friend, you know, the family relation, all the rest of it. And we don't know whether they stayed and who actually came here. You know, this is a real crisis because if you don't know who is here, you cannot guarantee that people are safe. You simply can't. You don't want to run to the extremes, but you have to be aware of it. And you know, we've got in reports of this crisis being exploited by countries like Iran and Russia. This is a real security threat now, and this government is not capable of keeping us safe, and it's not capable of tying its own shoelaces.
Well, exactly right. But as I say, you know, they have been for the past 5 years just letting people in and then ignoring it, basically. What they should be doing, of course, you've got a 2-year visa, we monitor you. You know, it wouldn't be foolproof, but at least the government would be fulfilling its responsibilities, trying to track what happens to the people they let into the country. It just has let people in and just gone, well, there you go. You know, it's unbelievable, folks. It's unbelievable.
But it all stems from this lack of accountability, this lack of standards. And because nobody's ever held accountable, nobody cares. That's why everything's gone to rack and ruin. It's because nobody gets fired.
More of that later. We should be discussing the BBC later on. But anyway, listen, we're going to go to break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Jezbollah, the new party formed by Jeremy Corbyn, and we think comedy Zara Sultana, but we can't quite work out. She announced yesterday, me and Jeremy are starting a new party and we're going to be the leaders. Well, Corbyn has a different sort of perception of this party. I don't think he thinks of her as his co-leader. So it's in a bit of a mess at the moment, but we'll bring you all the news on the exciting new pro-Palestine far-left party run by Jeremy Corbyn and maybe Zara Sultana. As I say, we're calling it Jezbollah. That next, stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, welcome back. I'm still with Pete Barnes, a political strategist. I wondered how he would strategise this situation. So who are the most hilarious two lunatic left-wing idiots in politics? It is Zara Sultana, who last week tweeted, "We're all Palestine action now." Well, speak for yourself, Zara. In fact, you better not tweet that again because it's illegal now. They are officially a proscribed organisation. They are a terrorist organisation. This was ratified by the House of Lords, and their appeal, their injunction to try and turn this over, this decision to prescribe them, just failed. So they are now officially proscribed, a banned terrorist organisation. So if you want to go around, anybody, all you lefties, you want to go on the streets tomorrow and go, yeah, hooray for Palestine action, you're breaking the law, you'll get arrested. Anyway, she tweeted that last week, so she better not do that again. So Zara Sultana, comedy commie, little girl who represents Coventry North, never had a proper job in her life. Just sits in the House of Commons being stupid. And also, talking of being stupid in the House of Commons, of course it's Magic Grandpa Jeremy Corbyn. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a new party. I give you Jezbollah. Yeah, it's Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. They're far left party. Jeremy Corbyn has just said, 1 year on from the election, this Labour government has refused to deliver the change people expected. He says, change is coming. Congratulations to Zara Sultana on her principled decision to leave the Labour Party. Of course, Corbyn's been kicked out. She said, Jeremy Corbyn and I will co-lead the founding of a new party with other independent MPs, campaigners and activists across the country. She goes on about the genocide in Gaza, of course, the alleged genocide, I should say. You know, what did she say? A year ago I was suspended. Oh, she voted against scrapping winter fuel payments. I'd do it again. Now the government wants to make disabled people suffer. They do, and so on and so forth. Look, there she is, Zara Sultana, in all her immense idiocy. So let's cut the music. Let's get Pete's comments. A bit worried about this party.
I think it's hilarious. But, I mean, the one thing I would say is don't underestimate Zara Sultana. She's a very competent campaigner. She has a big social media following, a lot of youth vote. And I tell you right now, the Labour Party should be a little worried about this because they need that Muslim vote, and this lot will hoover it right up. If you look at what we call voter migration, the people who voted Labour last time and where they're going, the vast majority are going because the Labour Party is not compassionate enough. This is interesting because Zara Sultana is hitting all the right notes here that could really galvanise a lot of this disillusioned vote. There's still a lot of Corbyn love, unfortunately, by the mentally ill, I imagine, but you know, it should be sectioned if we're being honest. But
you know, you're right, Pete. Yeah. You know, I'm wishing, you know, comedy duo, hilarious comedy duo, Corbyn and Sultana. It's got
Corbyn and
Sultana.
It sounds like a really bad detective
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Corbyn and Sultana. Anyway, they're a comedy duo for sure, but they will split the left vote.
They will.
They'll split the Labour vote. So we really should wish them all the best.
But also,
I take it all back. Jeremy, Zara, good luck.
Yeah, but also, if they can galvanise with the 5 independent Gaza MPs and mobilise that movement, I tell you now, there is a big problem in British politics coming. If they're capable of pulling this off, we have got a real problem on our hands. I don't think they're capable of pulling it off, but if somebody competent comes along and actually, with more nefarious actions, starts to back this lot, somebody with some money...
Well, don't forget he's already part of this independent group.
Yeah.
I think there's 7 of them.
7 of them, yeah.
And about 5 of them are those MPs who are totally devoted to Gaza, were voted in on a Gaza ticket. So this lot will become a Muslim powerhouse, there's no doubt about that, and they'll be obsessed with pro-Palestine issues, anti-Israel. Some might say they might be a tad anti-Semitic, although, of course, you couldn't say that about Jeremy Corbyn, could you?
Not at all.
He's not anti-Semitic. Do you know why we know that? Because he says he's not.
Oh, yeah, he was present. My favourite line, present but not involved. Honestly, it's just my favourite line of something.
Present but not involved.
I know. But again, my thing with this, and what a lot of us will watch, is the money. They get one decent donor. And some decent money behind. They probably will. Yeah. They could have some legs, and that's what we're most scared of, really, is that if they're actually able to not just crawl but walk, the Labour Party have a huge problem.
When you say scared, I mean, as I say, if they split the Labour vote and they deprive Keir Starmer of the Muslim vote that he so cravenly pursues, the Muslim vote is dictating domestic and international policy.
6% of the population.
If they split the Labour vote, those of us who aren't too keen on Labour, I mean, this party will be good news.
Yeah, but also, it's my bigger fear is galvanising a political party mobilised around a religion. Yeah, I'm not really bothered about the Labour Party bit. It is what the monster that they could create if we're not careful. And I would be. Whilst it is jokey and it is funny, there is a very serious element behind it.
Absolutely.
But I have to admit,
you can't help laughing.
You can't help but laugh. I'm sorry, you can't help but laugh. I do think that, you know, if you'd have asked some of the Labour strategists, what would you rather have done, won the general election or Jeremy Corbyn out of Parliament? I bet most of them probably would have gone with the end of Jeremy Corbyn.
Maybe,
and I mean, he was always been the thorn in the side of that party.
Just to so we don't get too excited about this lot splitting in the Labour vote. It's already a shambles, as I said earlier. Clearly, Corbyn, I think, had the idea that Zara Sultana would be one of his acolytes. He would lead. She issues this statement last night to say, Jeremy and I will co-lead the party. And we heard last night, because I revealed this last night, it broke last night when we were on air, and about 10 minutes later we learned that Corbyn was furious because she blindsided him.
But that is why you shouldn't underestimate her.
No,
she's got some game.
She's no fool.
Because she knows that she'd be bullied out of this very quickly. She gets out there and announces something. He can't then suddenly turn around and say, to the press anyway, you know, that, no, we're not co-leaders. This is a very smart move from her.
She's an idiot, but she's no fool.
Yes, exactly.
If that makes any sense to you.
But you just say Westminster.
In politics, it does. Right, let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to examine the concept of going woke and going broke. You remember when Bud Light in America nearly busted the company when they hired Dylan Mulvaney, a trans woman, a bloke in a dress, to promote America's favourite beer, and pretty soon it wasn't America's favourite beer. It's still struggling. They had to regroup. Well, Jaguar, as they say in America, or Jaguar here, our classic car company here, they did the same thing. They, about a few months back, a year ago was it, they rebranded, they went woke, groovy virtue signalling advertising campaign. They even got rid of the iconic, you know, roaring Jaguar on the front of the car. So they destroyed all the tradition behind that company. They went woke. And guess what? Here we are, months later, a year later, and Jaguar have lost 97.5% of their sales. So, folks, there you have it. If you go woke, you go broke. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
supposed to read it right now?
Yeah, please do.
I will do.
I've got to tell him what your reaction is, so I need to know. I need to know.
He is a great gentleman. A great, great gentleman.
There he is with that hand. I've got to tell him my reaction. I've got this letter for you. I mean, just horrific, isn't it? And then he goes with the hand. He puts his hand on his shoulder like this, and it's like, it's just too long. It's there too long. And it's like literally just, if you want to touch somebody on the shoulder, fine. Don't leave it there. It's not good.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We'll try and keep you... what do you think of the show so far? I think it's not bad. Definitely, maybe. See what I did there? That's why I get a big buck. So we're going to try and keep you posted on the Oasis concert down in Cardiff, launching their much-anticipated world tour down in Cardiff. So we'll see if we can bring you anything from that. The lads, the Gallagher brothers, their brotherly feud over... it's amazing what the offer of about 100 million quid each can do to a brotherly feud, a sibling rivalry, isn't it? They're the best of friends now. Anyway, they're going to play tonight in Cardiff. We'll see if we can bring you anything from that, but we'll keep abreast of what's going on. In the meantime, let's talk. Go woke, you go broke. Jaguar. As I said before the break, well, it was some time ago they came up with this rebrand. Not really any cars in there.
No.
The cars that they did come up with, concept cars, were pretty damned ugly. And what's that all about? And they get, you know, the famous Jaguar on the front of the cars. You know, they are.
It's called the Growler.
The Growler. The Growler. Thank you, Pete.
There you go.
Thank you, Pete. I'm not very good at cars, as you know. No, I should get Alex Phillips in. She'd know all about this. Anyway, so yeah, they got rid of that, and they've lost 97.5% of their sales. So this is ridiculous, isn't it? When will these companies learn? If you remember in America, I think it was a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, Anheuser-Busch, they make Bud Light. That was America's best-selling beer, top of the charts by a mile. They decided, that company, to rebrand it, to make it, you know, basically Bud beer, Bud Light or Budweiser in America, it's a sort of good old boys drink. You know, the boys drink it down the bar while they're watching the sport and all that. Not to say women don't as well, but that was its image. What was wrong with that? America's best-selling beer, blue-collar beer, people love it. And they rebranded it with this.
This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
So that's a bloke.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Dylan Mulvaney, that's a bloke in a dress. That campaign caused a massive backlash, a massive... Remember Kid Rock, the rock star?
Yeah.
He built a kind of pyramid of Bud Light cans with her face on and shot them. And the backlash that was so bad that sales plummeted, absolutely plummeted. And I do believe that Budweiser is still not. 26% sales drop. The share prices plunged by 20% after 20 years as America's best-selling beer. Bud Light lost its status at the top of the charts. That was in 2023. Now, the person behind that rebrand, someone called Alyssa Heinerscheid, she was sacked. I wonder why. Now, don't know if anyone's been sacked from Jaguar yet, but maybe they should think about it. I mean, Pete, when are these companies going to learn? You know, work out what your market is and sell your stuff to them.
Well, this is half of the problem, is that whilst they may know their market, what the bigger problem is, in terms of being able to launch these kind of products and stuff, the companies tend to have to borrow a lot of money. And the rules on the companies borrowing the money is wrapped up in what we call ESG, which is your kind of environmental, security and governance and your green score, basically. It's like, how woke are you? And because it's all wrapped up in these rules, they have to have this kind of advertising. So it's somehow it's not really the company's fault.
Hang on a second. Wait, well, what?
Yeah, so the way that it works is that these companies will go to big investment firms and say, we want X amount of money because we're going to rebrand Jaguar. So then they'll borrow this money, but the money can only be used on the campaigns if it's in line with the ethical standards.
Yeah, but the point is the companies don't have to rebrand.
Yes.
So don't go... It is the company's fault.
Yeah, they don't
because they shouldn't have rebranded in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. But, you know, it's one of those things where, because we've got this kind of new professional generation of all the wokies...
Yeah, well, they're idiots.
Yeah, they are. But I'd have to admit, the Jaguar one is very unique because nobody asked for this one.
Well, nobody else would Bud Light to be sold by Dylan Mulvaney either.
Well, you can understand the Dylan Mulvaney one because they were very popular. There was an argument for that one, but this is just staggering to me because
I don't think there was an argument for Dylan Mulvaney. I think it was madness.
Yeah,
and I think this just like this Jaguar nonsense, absolute madness. I remember at the time, Nigel Farage says, "Trust me, this will ruin the company," and it has.
Yeah, it always going to.
Why are they so stupid?
Because woke's entire purpose is to destroy things.
Yeah,
Woke
I know,
doesn't
so
like
don't
tradition.
fall for it. Be resistant to it.
I know, but that's half the problem. It's people.
I mean, it isn't technically its purpose, is it?
No, it is. It is its entire
It's what
purpose.
it does.
No, but its purpose is to tear down. It is institutions.
Yeah,
The
I
Jaguar
suppose
was an
you're right. Yeah, I
institution.
see that. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's a tradition, it's institution, it's masculine, it's all this kind of stuff that woke hates. So woke goes after it and to tear it down and to just destroy it because it doesn't like it.
To rip up tradition and replace it with something thoroughly modern. And a company like Jaguar, it's built on tradition. It should have known its tradition. Same for Bud Light. It's a traditional beer. Don't fix what isn't broken.
That's a great,
and that's what Anheuser-Busch did. That's what Jaguar did, and they're paying a massive price. Let me know what you think. 0344499 1000. Andrea Jenkins next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In half an hour or so, I'll be taking your calls, 03444991000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number. I promise to play those messages out. I'll read a few of your messages as well. But before we get to your bit of the show, a warm welcome to our favourite guest. She is the Reform UK Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well. Now, listen, I've got a really, really busy agenda, a schedule for you here. So if you could just talk really, really quickly. No, but we do have a lot to get
Hey,
through.
I'm a northerner. Don't I talk quickly anyway?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Which is just as well. Well, first of all, sort of briefly, if you can, because as I say, I've got lots of specifics to talk to you about, but I can't let you go without getting your verdict on Labour's first year in government. How do you think they've done?
Oh my God. I mean, you know, I've never known a party in power not to have any honeymoon period. I mean, literally, it started in the August, didn't it, with the two-tier policing system. Then we saw the freebies they was getting, the pensioners' winter fuel allowance. And I think what we've established is that Labour are liars. I mean, the stuff they're bringing out wasn't in their manifesto commitment, and yeah, it's just unbelievable, isn't it?
It really is, and I'm with Pete Barnes here, and we were discussing earlier.
Hi, Pete.
If I'd have said to you, Andrea, a year ago, within a year, you will see the Chancellor of the Exchequer sobbing her heart out in the House of Commons. You wouldn't believe it. Now, seasoned politicians, seasoned political journalists and observers who all work in Westminster, they have never seen anything like it. Now, on a human level, I didn't like it. I felt sorry for her.
I actually text her, because on a human level, I mean, look,
Absolutely.
I got all this rubbish during the general election, the recent elections, and I cried a couple of times. It might not have been publicly, so I know sometimes, but let's face it, sorry to interrupt, but look when Thatcher cried, look how the left jumped on that. Look at when Liz Truss had tears in her eyes. But why was the left not sort of like reaching out to people then? You know, it's about these human emotions, but at the same time, you know, look how the markets have been the last 24
Well,
months.
that's it, Andrea. That you know, before people dismiss her sobbing in the Commons as just a sort of rather compelling incident, it actually triggered this massive plunging in the markets, the bond market, the stock market, the pound plunge, because the world saw the woman in charge of Britain's economy weeping like a baby in the House of Commons with the Prime Minister just in front of her, pretending he wasn't noticing this. What a weird reaction that was. But as I say, sympathy for her. I don't like to see anybody like that. And, you know, I keep saying, you know, men, when they see women cry, it has a really visceral effect on us. We just crumble. So I didn't like that. On a human level, felt sorry for her. But then I'm bringing this up because you just said the LIBOR, lie. They then came up, they clearly war-gamed it and said, now, what are we going to say? What are we going to say? Let's say it's a personal matter. And then for the next 24 hours, they were like parrots. It's a personal matter. It's a personal matter. And they kept saying, and you wouldn't expect us to tell you what that personal matter was. Well, actually, I would. That notwithstanding, it wasn't a personal matter. It was clearly professional. She had the rug taken up from under her feet. She knows now, because of that welfare U-turn catastrophe, where £5 billion worth of savings became an additional £100 million worth of expenditure, so we've got no savings. She knew at that point she is going to have no choice but to break her solemn promise not to raise taxes again. We understand she'd had a massive row either with Starmer or Pat McFadden or both. She had an altercation.
Angela Rayner as well. She was manoeuvring in the background.
Exactly. So this is what went on, and you know, I think, who do they think we are? Idiots? You know, they lie to us. No, you're wrong to say it was professional. It was a personal matter. I say that was a lie, and that was an insulting lie.
Yes. And also, I mean, look at the general election, their fake patriotism with a union flag virtually wrapped in it. It was on every Labour leaflet, and the first thing he does when he gets in power, he has closer alignment to the EU. You know, this man is a liar, and you know, how dare they have criticised Liz Truss about crashing the economy when look what's happened. I mean, I think that was a manoeuvre against Liz to get her out personally, but you know, let's see if they dare mention that again, Kevin, because you know, we will just roll this out, whichever party will roll this out, like what you did to the economy.
Yeah, but I think it was a symbol. I mean, you couldn't come up with a more kind of filmic image to sum up this disastrous year of Labour. We got a show coming up at 9 o'clock called 1 Year of Chaos here on Talk. But you couldn't sum up or have thought of a more haunting image of disaster than the Chancellor of the Exchequer sobbing her heart out in the House of Commons behind the Prime Minister, while the Prime Minister tried to make excuses for the worst 12 months, the worst start by any government in British political history.
But also, Kevin, it's okay, you know, I mean, as I said, I messaged her on a personal level. So I think it's the right thing to do. But, you know, it's okay, Labour sobbing their heart out, but what about the rest of the country? We're in a state. Look at those pensioners last year who was worried that they was going through a hard winter. Look at the farmers who's, you know, they cannot, losing their
livelihoods. Yeah. I mean, she's made a lot of.
The whole country is struggling. And what about Labour shedding tears for the working man in the street?
Yeah, I mean, she's made a lot of people cry, a lot of pensioners shivering to death. She's made some ruthless, horrible decisions. So professionally, I've got no sympathy for her whatsoever. But on a human level, I didn't like to see that. But it proves how far Labour have fallen and what a mess they are in, because she's a broken woman, utterly broken. And then after, oh, it's a personal matter. 24 hours later, there she is, so much makeup on her, she looks like Coco the clown, and she's not laughing and jumping. It was bizarre behaviour.
Do you know what it reminds me of? A Bobby Ewing moment, isn't it? When he comes out of the shower. You know, the last 12 months of episodes didn't exist.
Exactly right. Very, very strange. Right, lots to get through. So let's talk about, briefly, Nigel Farage given an interesting interview to The Sun. First of all, he said he was taken aback when Rod Stewart said it's time to give Nigel Farage and Reform a chance. Quite an interesting moment, I thought. But what he said, I cut through with me. He said that a couple of years ago, or, you know, throughout his career, but a couple of years ago, people would sidle up to him quietly and go, Nigel, I'm on your side. Don't tell anyone, but I'm going to vote for you. He says now, he calls it the supermarket test. He says people come up to him and they shout their support from the rooftop. In other words, supporting Reform UK is no longer anyone's guilty secret. I think that's quite a fundamental sea change.
Oh, gosh, massively. I mean, look, I've always been a fan of Nigel. I mean, look, I was with him in the Brexit years, fighting for Brexit. And I think with Nigel, you get the real deal, and I think people are waking up to that fact now. And not only that, look, he's been fighting against this illegal migration for decades. Look, remember that big advert in one of the general elections with all, you know, illegal migrants invading Britain? It was right, and so I think people realise now that I think they speak among themselves, they speak among their friends, they all feel the same, so they've got confidence now to publicly say they support Nigel and reform. And, you know, Nigel, it's his time. It's reform's time. This, you know, we are the only ones who can get this country on its feet, and Nigel's the only person who could be Prime Minister and who can steer this ship of Britain into greatness again.
And of course, Labour's shambles has been a boost for all the rival parties, but particularly for reform, of course. Let's talk about the migrant crisis that you just alluded to. I'm going to play you a BBC report in just a minute, which is extraordinary. But before we get to this, I'm going to play you something else. This is you got yourself a starring role. You weren't there, but you were there in spirit on Good Morning Britain. I think this was yesterday, and take it away. Here we go.
It's a tenner a week if you're in a hotel with meals.
But it is money spent, isn't it? Not on disabled people or pensioners.
Andrea Jenkins, the mayor of Lincolnshire, says that they should be put into tent camps in the UK rather than hotels.
Well, there was talk about having, like, former army camps open, but all that...
Well, you know what? Because the locals...
Because locals didn't want them.
No, and
Nobody wants them.
Tent camps. You're really going to have tent camps?
No. I mean, well, not currently under this government. That would not be...
Andrea Jenkins just says things she'd never do. If she's got a bit of Lincolnshire, she'd like to have a big tent camp. I mean, she could have a national tent camp.
I don't think anybody wants to see tent camps.
No, of course not. But she says it, though, and she whips people...
I know, but it's an important...
So there you go, Andrea. Now, Kevin Maguire there, who's a sort of friend of mine. He's a colleague of mine for a long, long time, but he's never said a single word in his left-wing life that I've agreed with. But what you can take that as a compliment. If he thinks that what you said is bad, it must have been good. He is the ultimate political reverse barometer. Whatever he thinks is diametrically wrong, guaranteed every single time. So there they are discussing your tent plan again, you know, which I think you're sort of semi-serious about. The point...
I'm serious. You know, it's got to be a confined area. You know, at the south of the country where they come in, they can't get out. And I mean, ideally, I want to just send them back, but you know, some of them throw the passports away. We know the legislation problem, and we should be pushing back at France. I said that. Why are we paying France all these millions of pounds? I've been saying that for years, even as a Conservative.
Well, the point is, Andrea, you know, what you got the Kevin Maguires and the Susanna Reeds of this world all slamming you, you know, oh, fascist right-winger and all this kind of stuff. Right. You know, because you suggested perhaps tents to put migrants in. Why don't these people ever criticise the French? Now, in terms of the migrants in France, you know, they're really lucky if the French give them a tent. Most of them get nothing whatsoever. So why is it that the Maguires of this world, the Susanna Reeds, Andrea Jenkins, it's terrible. They never say anything about the French, who don't even give most of them tents.
No. But also, look, it's the Labour Party, it's the One Nation Conservatives, it's the Lib Dem, it's the Greens. You know, these bleeding heart liberals. You know, they talk about other people's human rights, but not the rights of the British people, and that's what annoys me, Kevin. You know, we've got to stand up for the British people. We've had enough. That's the facts of it. And, you know, it's like the hug a hoodie era, isn't it? You know, they want to hug a migrant, so, OK, let's house an HMO next to your house and see if you want to hug a migrant then. They won't want to.
By the way, this week, I think yesterday, funnily enough, it was a 0 day. But before that, in 4 days, 2,082 migrants came across the channel illegally in small boats. If you add up how much those people are going to cost British taxpayers over the next year, it comes to a wallet-busting £82 million. So in 4 days, £82 million worth of migrants came across the channel. And by the way, that's just for the next year. The following year, they'll cost us another 82 million. So the cost of this is just off the scale. So they're coming and they're coming and they're coming, and we know smash the gangs isn't working. Now today...
It's like bees to honey though, isn't it? Because we're soft touch Britain, we put them up in hotels.
Well, of course.
You know, we give them money, there's been driving lessons, there's been God knows what, and so of course they're going to come over. We've got to stop that.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's quite intense.
I want to play you now, though, significantly. You know, we've given the French, as you know, over the years, £800 million to patrol their own beaches. I was saying earlier, the net result of that seems to be that all the gendarmes...
Reform should be asking for a refund, I think.
Well, you do that. When you get into power, you make sure you do that. Because all they've done with this money is buy themselves flash equipment. So they're kind of going around the beaches with these marvellous buggies. They got drones, they got helicopters, they've got speedboats, they've got aircraft, but they're not stopping any migrants.
No, it's not doing anything,
They're not stopping migrants on the boats until, watch this.
Okay.
Okay, up they're slicing it. They're coming in to slice the boat now. The police have come in to slice the boat. Look at that guy's furious. Okay.
On security! Go, go, go!
Okay, to your right, the policeman here. He's pulling them in to your right.
So there you go, Andrea. That is in Boulogne-sur-Mer. That's a report on the BBC today. Now, so there's a dinghy finally getting sort of punctured by the gendarmes. Quite, dramatic scenes there. How handy that a BBC film crew and a reporter were there as this happened. And do you think it might be coincidental that Macron is visiting Britain next week? This is a stunt, isn't it? This is a PR stunt.
Well, it feels that way, doesn't it? And they actually had a woman in the dinghy. That makes a change, isn't it?
It must be a stunt.
She's probably pregnant as well to make it, bring out the heartstrings even more or something.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't notice the personnel. They were mainly blokes.
It was all young males.
Yeah, but there was
one woman in the middle of it. Yeah.
A token woman. But you see what I mean? Is suddenly
she's probably from France and they put her on there or something.
But so, you see what I mean? Suddenly. We finally see the French police, the gendarmes, doing what we want them to do. Yeah. And just by coincidence, there's a BBC reporter and film crew right there to lovingly record this scene. This is so when Macron comes over next week, Starmer and Macron say, look at the cooperation, look how well it's working. It's just blatant. It's a PR stunt.
Oh, you better record it back. It wasn't Macron's wife after she hit him, was it? Maybe he's getting rid of her, yeah?
She's leaving France.
He's on the dinghy.
She's leaving France in a dinghy. Right, it's a good deal if you do get here, Miss Brigitte. Brigitte, if you do want to come, you get 50 quid a week, you get a 4-star hotel, free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers. It's an amazing deal. As you say, free driving lessons, free trampoline lessons.
It's like an all-you-can-eat free lunch, isn't it, really?
Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. But smash the gangs before we go to break. I mean, what a joke. He's still saying it. We're going to smash the gangs, smash the gangs. It's just ludicrous. It's ludicrous. 1 year on.
Have you thought, actually, Kevin, is saying smash the gangs, is he talking about his backbenchers?
Yeah. Smash the rebels. God almighty, what a mess. Stay with us, Andrea. We'll come back in just a minute.
want to read it right now?
Yeah, please do.
I will do.
I've got to tell him what your reaction is, so I need to know. I need to know.
He is a great gentleman. A great gentleman.
There he is with that hand. I've got to tell him my reaction. I've got this letter for you. I mean, just horrific, isn't it? And then he goes with the hand. He puts his hand on his shoulder like this, and it's like, it's just too long. It's there too long. It's like literally just, if you want to touch somebody on the shoulder, fine. Don't leave it there. It's not good.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Reform UK Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins. Quickly, Andrea, one of the things that I'm not here to support any particular party, you understand that, but I do like Reform's idea to just completely junk and scrap all the very expensive lunatic net zero claptrap, of course being spearheaded by that arrant lunatic madman Crazy Ed Miliband, the net zero secretary. Have you spotted his...
And in Lincolnshire, we've got an oil company what's sort of gone into receivership.
It's the Lib Dem, it's the Greens. You know, these bleeding liberals.
It's you, it's me. I don't know why it's doing that. That's you on my phone. So that's you in stereo. So you were saying, a company's gone bust?
Yes, yeah, an oil company. And
really?
Gone into receivership. But, I mean, the thing is, I'm against these subsidies. I mean, this is what is the problem, isn't it? Businesses will naturally congregate towards subsidies, but it's a knock-on effect. Look what's happened to British Steel, and you know, Labour want these electric arc furnaces that can't burn virgin steel. I've seen about this oil company, and you know, I was at a business this week, and it's crucifying them financially, and you know, through the Conservatives and Labour. We should never have gone down this route. I mean, I've spoke out about it for a while.
It's incoherent. It's incoherent. It doesn't make any sense. I wanted to get your thoughts, though, on Crazy Ed's latest harebrained scheme. He wants basically a 20-foot windmill in everybody's garden. So he wants windmills, personal wind turbines in everybody's garden. I mean, this guy, the men in white coats need to... take him away and put him in a padded cell, don't you think?
I'm just shocked. I mean, who's advising him as well? I mean, yeah, he's crazy. He looks mad, and I mean, he's got to be sacked, hasn't he? But the thing is, the whole of the cabinet believe in
they believe it. They believe it.
That is the issue. And what are we going to be like 4 years from now? That's what I'm.
There you go.
We're back. Yeah, sorry. That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
Wasn't me either.
That was a technical issue. The phone was me, but that wasn't me. Anyway, don't forget.
Or maybe we've got blackouts because of what
It could be that. It's Ed Miliband. It's his fault, seriously. So he's off in November. He's going to take about 400 British delegates with him to Brazil for COP30, the climate change conference, where people will arrive by private jet from all over the world. They've chopped down vast swathes, miles and miles of the Amazon rainforest, so that the dignitaries can get from the airport. They built a special road so they can get from the airport to the conference centre. And Ed Miliband, who will take 400 people with them on planet-destroying jets, sent a civil servant ahead, this was last week, sent a civil servant ahead to scope out good hotels for the Brits to stay in. I mean, the hypocrisy is off the scale. It is do as I say, not as I do, isn't it?
We ought to be putting them in tents as well, aren't we?
Good idea.
Labour Party.
Yeah, give them a tent. Great idea. Let's get the Labour Party to
We'll
buy
give you
it.
a Portaloo as well.
Yeah, we could get loads and loads of tents for the migrants and then get Ed and his delegates to take a few tents to Brazil so they can...
You know, I had a constituent, actually, who offered to buy some tents for me. I mean, wouldn't that be cool? Even if it's just a PR exercise. Yeah, I haven't took him up on it yet, but maybe we should send him to Downing Street.
Well, if you want to do a PR stunt, the BBC are always handy if you want them to come along and film it. Listen, we better move on because I wanted to ask you about the BBC in Glastonbury. You probably didn't notice, but do you know I got a starring role there? So, you know, so Bob Villain, he's like the warm-up act for Kneecap, you know, the Northern Irish rap trio who are in some trouble. One of them was allegedly flew a Hezbollah flag at a concert in London. And of course, at a concert in Belfast, they did shout, the only good Tory is a dead Tory, kill your local MP. So that's the kind of band they are. Anyway, in the exciting, tension-packed build-up to their set, here we are, they started playing footage of all their fascist media enemies. And there's Piers Morgan, Peter Cardwell also from Talk, but I got the starring role. Suddenly I picked...
Really? Oh, brilliant.
I suddenly cropped up with me going, Kneecap's pretty disgusting. So there I was, finally in Glastonbury. But that notwithstanding, let's talk about...
Badge of honour, though, isn't it?
It was. Andrew, it's one of my proudest moments. People stopping me in the... It really does make you famous. People stopping me in the streets, I'd tell you. But let's talk about the BBC meltdown, the scandal there. Of course, this band Bob Dylan, death to the IDF and all that. The BBC clearly should have stopped the broadcast right there. They decided to carry on with the live broadcast for 40 minutes. Massive mistake. I tweeted at the time, this is such a bad mistake by the BBC. I guarantee you, deputy heads will roll. That's the way the BBC rolls. The guys at the top never get in trouble. People lower down. And sure as hell, guess what? It is happening. So the £580,000 a year Director General Tim Davie has dodged the flak, despite the fact that he just stumbles from one shambles to the next. Gary Lineker, Hugh Edwards, now this. So he, so far, is absolutely fine. But the £215,000 a year head of music, Lorna Clark, today we learned has been asked to step back, and so have a number of other senior executives involved in the decision to carry on playing Bob Villain. So Tim Davie was there. He was there at Glastonbury. I mean, this spineless man, when is he going to take the blame for all the mistakes that this organisation makes under his auspices? He just dodges it every time. I think it's a disgrace. £580,000 a year, and he won't take the rap. He makes sure that people lower down the ladder get in trouble, they take the flak. And, of course, though, it being the BBC, when I say heads are rolled, these executives, head of music, Lorna Clark, they've been asked to step back. What do you think, Andrea, you have to do at the BBC to get fired?
Exactly. I mean, remember all the Savile stuff and, the stuff in recent years with the TV newsreaders. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think Tim Davie, I mean...
I should be sacked. Look, I've been calling to defund the BBC since the defund the BBC campaign first came out. We've got to. We should all cancel paying for our licence and make a stand. Taxpayers shouldn't be paying for this stuff.
Yeah. You think Tim Davie should be sacked, yeah?
Yeah, of course I do, absolutely.
Or if he did the honourable, in my view, he should do the honourable thing and resign.
No, but with that kind of salary, is he going to?
Yeah, exactly right. Somebody in the office said that earlier. Surely he should resign. I said, what, on 580 grand a year? Unlikely.
He can take the flak, can he? God.
Exactly, yeah. But just to finish on this topic...
Which is what, 2 or 3 times more than the Prime Minister or something, isn't it?
And the rest.
Mind you, we'd only give him £1, wouldn't we? Yeah. Bag and basement.
Do you think the BBC, this kind of revealed it to me, do you think the BBC has an anti-Semitism problem? Because I do.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, look, for years they won't call Hamas a terrorist organisation.
Still won't.
It's clear they have.
Yeah. And this.
Why we shouldn't support them? That's one reason. Plus, the programmes are not that good recently, and
recently, that's very kind.
Years,
they haven't been any good for years.
I want to see return to 80s comedy where you can take the mickey out of each other and actually laugh.
Yeah. Well, that ship has sailed, Andrea. I'll tell you that. So listen, let me finish on something that I really want to get your take on, because I talked to Rod Liddle about this, and it's about reform, and it's about democracy. Like your triumph in Lincolnshire, Reform triumphed in the local election at Warwickshire. They won the election and they became the leading party, the ruling party, if you like, at Warwickshire County Council. Now, in line with Reform Party policy, the Reform leader there, the Reform Party leader at Warwick Council, George Finch, wrote to the chief executive of Warwickshire. Her name is Monica Fogarty. And he said our policy is, because she had a big pride flag and all that stuff hanging off the town hall.
Oh, she did, yeah.
And it's called Shire Hall. Is the?
Did you have a lanyard as well?
That's right. Of course. So George said, listen, the policy is we don't have pride flags. We only have Union Jacks or flags that denote local areas.
Yes.
That's our policy. So no pride. So she wrote back to George Finch saying, I'm afraid I will not be taking the action you are requesting. Well, look, there's two things to say about that. First of all, George isn't requesting that you do it. He is telling you to do it. You are the chief executive. You have to carry out the instructions of the ruling party. And secondly, by saying that she's not going to take that action, that is an affront to democracy. I think Reform UK...
I think it's gross misconduct. I'd sack her.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Something needs to be done about this woman. By the way, of course, she earns £200,000 a year. But she needs to... You can't do this. She's an unelected official telling an elected leader of the council, I'm not doing what you told me because I want to signal my virtue and wave my woke flag. I mean, come on.
Do you know, I hope this is a pivotal moment, actually, Kevin, because forever they've said you cannot call out civil servants. They're not elected to do this, but the salaries are on, and I think anybody who's paid for by the taxpayer needs to be held accountable. So hopefully this is a pivotal moment, so society, we can start fighting back and calling out these, because she should not be in a job. She's not democratically elected. They've got a mandate and she should deliver on that mandate, and if she won't, just go.
I think Reform UK have to get rid of her. They have to tell her to
definitely.
go. Yeah, and I'll tell you, she's being all sort of, look at me, aren't I woke and wonderful? Well, the times they are changing, and I'll tell you, if George Finch...
I had a council officer roll their eyes at me in a meeting when I met the UK ambassador to Denmark.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
so I'll be having conversations about that, because it's not acceptable, is it?
Well, what I would say, if I was Reform in Warwickshire, I would go up to Monica Fogarty and I would say, you know that £200,000 a year salary that you command, do you like that money? Because if you do, you better start doing what the democratically elected ruling party is telling you. Because if you don't do it right now, you're fired. There goes your £200,000 a year. How about that?
Kevin, you need to go into politics.
There you go. I think I might. Andrea, fantastic. Always great to have you on the show. Have a lovely weekend and we'll talk again soon. That was the remarkable Andrea Jenkins, Dame Andrea Jenkins, Reform UK Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire. Not on your side, Pete, but she's a good performer.
Yes, yeah. Just, I find it hilarious that we're relying on Nigel Farage, the man who said, I don't need to have
No. Look, mate, you're doing breakfast. You're doing breakfast tomorrow. tomorrow. You want to get good ratings.
Yes.
Right. Wind your neck in about Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of advice for you. Don't get political. Tomorrow morning for breakfast, your line is, I love Nigel Farage.
I don't think those words will ever come out of my mouth.
But I'm just telling you, be careful. Right, we're going to go to break now, and when we come back, we've got lots of calls, lots of messages. So it's you guys for the rest of the show. Let's do it. Stay where you are.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go. Shall we go straight to the phones? Yes, let's do that because it's one of my favourite callers. It's Herbie from Harrow. Hi, Herbie.
Good evening there, Kevin. How are you this evening?
I'm okay. We're shall we say we're in sombre mood. I'm with Pete Barnes and we are reflecting. We're reflecting on an interesting year of Labour.
I'm looking at flights.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear it later on, Kevin. I can assure you. Well, what a gimmick was today about on the French coast.
It really was, wasn't it? It was blatant.
Listen, the BBC was there today. Why aren't they there every day to show how many boats are coming over, how many people are leaving France coming to here? And the French police weren't even in waterproofs. What a gimmick. What a absolute gimmick. And the BBC to be there just at that moment.
I mean, I said, you know, the BBC is obviously being told, look, if you come to Boulogne-sur-Mer at this point on the beach at 11 a.m. or whenever it was, we will be puncturing a dinghy and getting a load of migrants out. It's going to be very dramatic. And guess what? Macron's coming to Britain next week, and of course, this is what this is all about, to make it look as if finally, you know, this pact between Britain and France is taking effect. Is it hell?
Kevin, the amount of money we paid. Oh, come on, look, this was definitely staged because
of course it was.
No way would the BBC. Why aren't the BBC there every day to tell us how many people are going and how many boats leaving the coast to come to the UK? Not one before us. It's ever happened before, is it, Kevin?
Yeah, exactly right. No. It was a publicity stunt, and as I say, how could it be that not only a film crew are there, but so is a reporter? You know, and the reporter's up to his. It's a total stunt, and you know, they take us for fools. They really do. As I was saying earlier, Herbie, I'm not sure. I've got a feeling it was a light day yesterday, but up until yesterday, 2,082 migrants came across the Channel in 4 days. They will cost us alone over the next year £82 million. billion. This crisis, despite this BBC PR stunt, is spiralling dangerously out of control.
Oh, yeah, but Kevin, the problem is what are they going to do when they run out of money and they can't house these people or pay these people anymore? Because that's what's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't got a bottomless pit of a pot. You know, it's gradually emptying very, very quickly. And when we have run out of money, so what they got to do then? Deny this? Then it's going to be riots on the streets because they've been, you know, taking away their goodies, their freebies.
Exactly right. No, I mean, it's a mess, Herbie. It is a mess. Listen, mate, I've got to move on, but always good to talk to you. Thank you very much for your call. I'm glad you agree with me. It was a stunt. Pete Barnes agrees as well.
Definitely.
Here's a WhatsApp voice note. This is Jackus on the boats.
Good evening, Kev. Good evening, Pete. So we all know how this this boat knifing came about today, don't we? Well, Emmanuel, if you could get your police to knife a boat today, what we'll do is Calamity Cooper will meet you at Dover, and we'll put you up in a hotel for taxpayers' expense. And I'll see you in the morning.
That's about it, Jackus. That's about it. It's an interesting Starmer impression.
Yeah.
Sort of a cross between Starmer and Sean Connery.
I can say, yeah, definitely. But the one thing we do have to remember is Macron is coming, and there was this kind of one-in, one-out deal was on the table.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
that's a joke.
Yeah, that's a joke. But it will be interesting to see how far that goes.
Yeah.
Because you know, they don't have anything else to keep offering.
But you know, but that inherently. In that announcement, one in, one out, one in, one out, was an admission that Smash the Gangs isn't working.
Oh, yeah,
so we've got to come up with a new scheme.
Yeah.
But one in, one out was, for every illegal migrant that we send back, France will send us a whole bunch of legal migrants.
Yeah, that's not very
so numerically it won't work. No. But what was interesting about it is suddenly, out of nowhere, this government accepts the concept that we can deport migrants the moment they arrive.
Yes.
They never said this before.
No, they never acknowledge it. But also, it's the fact that the French are willing to depart from the European Union on this as well. That was quite interesting.
True. That's
true. You know, there's quite a lot in that one decision that's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen. That's
politically, it was quite interesting. But I mean, at some point, I always go back to this point that they think that the gangs have started the migrant crisis.
Yeah.
That's why they keep saying smash the gangs. They think they're responsible for it. They're not. But it's just pathetic at this point. It's like my dad says, all the gear and no idea.
Yeah, I like that.
He turns it to cyclists.
I like that even more now. Here's a little message from Hev. I like this. Hi, Kev. All I can say about Rachel is I'm so glad she got over her personal issues so incredibly well in just a few hours. Holy cow, if I got in that state, I'm sure I wouldn't be over it so quick.
Yeah.
It was Mike Graham tweeted it, you know, that suddenly, you know, she's leaping around and then Starmer turns up, she's hugging him. It was bizarre behaviour.
It reminded me of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Do you know when he had one of his moments?
Yeah.
And then the next day he was jogging on stage.
That's right.
It was that kind of the stunt of the performance.
It's overcompensation.
It's overcompensation.
Massive overcompensation.
But I tell you, I was in the city, and I tell you right now, every single trader I know and everybody else in all those boardrooms were saying they are keeping Rachel Reeves in place because they are terrified of what's coming around the corner, and that is not a place this country can afford to be.
Yeah, because if a Prime Minister parts company with his Prime Minister, could be her Prime Minister, if a Prime Minister parts company with their Chancellor, be it of any hill, whether they quit or they fire them, that is a big moment. It shows a government in turmoil.
Not a single one has ever survived.
And Keir Starmer is in lockstep with Rachel Reeves, like I'm in lockstep with Chelsea fans.
I got that reference.
Yeah. I'm a Fulham fan. We hate Chelsea fans. He's not in lockstep with her, and she is furious with him. That's the story. Right, let's quickly listen to another WhatsApp voice note before we go to break. That's Sandra on free speech.
Sandra from Essex here. For me, one of the most concerning things about this government, they haven't actually done yet, but it's the Islamophobia law. In a democratic society, no institution should be above question. No religion, no government should ever be above being debated, challenged, even criticised. If we do have that, then we don't live in a democratic society. So for me, that is very, very chilling. Thank you.
Well, absolutely, Sandra. We did the Islamophobia story earlier in the week. Angela Rayner's has got a working party trying to redefine what Islamophobia means, which is terrifying enough, but even more terrifying, guess who's in charge? It's Dominic Greaves, Remainiac in chief. So they're trying to redefine Islamophobia, and the idea is that it'll stop us being able to laugh at Islam, make jokes about it, criticise it. Not saying I will particularly want to laugh at them or make jokes about them or criticise them, but I should be able to if I want to. Angela Rayner is working towards that being impossible. That is a dangerous assault on freedom of speech. Let's go to break. Couple more calls afterwards. Stay where you are.
They promised stability.
They said the grown-ups are back in charge.
I was so happy you just couldn't believe it.
Our work is urgent, and we begin it today.
I mean, you couldn't really scrape together a worse gang of misfits to run a dog kennel. Broken promises.
Billions blown.
Botched U-turns.
And Britain is burning.
One of the most immeasurably eventful.
1 year in power.
And Britain in freefall.
It's just been a disaster.
1 year of chaos.
Friday, 4th of July.
9 p.m.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
By the way, very happy Independence Day to all our American fans, anybody out there who's American. So happy Independence Day for us. It's unhappy first birthday of Labour Day. And don't forget, A Year of Chaos, Talk's special documentary, starts in about 10 minutes. You won't want to miss that. A quick WhatsApp voice note. This is Mariana on Rachel Reeves.
Evening, guys. Anna, sorry. Andrea and Kev, whilst I applaud your humanity, I'm afraid I feel no sorrow for this woman. I don't see her shedding tears for Lucy Connolly. Did she reach out to her? No. I don't see her shedding tears for the white working class who they've stomped on. I don't see them shedding tears for the farmers, the pensioners, the waspy women. I don't see them shedding tears for Great Britain. So can I very politely suggest that you refrain from feeling too sorry for these people? And I class the whole Labour Party as one person, one tragic, treacherous, destroyer of my country. No, sorry, Rach. I feel no sympathy. Just.
Well, Mariana, I'm sort of with you. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with all of your sentiments there. It's just that there's something visceral about watching a woman break down in hysterical tears, is what we saw. That's all. That's all. Apart from that, I don't sympathise with her one bit.
Thing, and I thought Andrea made a good point on this. Do you remember when Boris Johnson had COVID and we didn't know whether he was going to live or die? And these lot who are now saying, "Oh, you can't say that. You've got to be nice to her," were planning a party for when he was about to die.
Yeah,
and they're now demanding. I have to admit, this selective empathy is getting tiring.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's be kind, but not if they're a Tory.
Exactly.
Not if they're reformed.
Be kind or else is another one.
Totally right. Yeah, be kind or else. I like that. Let's talk to Lisa in Cardiff. Hi, Lisa. Can you hear Oasis? They're around the corner from you.
They are around the corner. I'm glad I'm not there.
Can you see the crowds? Are they all over the place?
No, it's not my bag. But anyway, a fabulous show as always.
Thank you. What would you like to say? You want to talk about the Home Office, yeah?
I've got loads of points, but I'll be brief. Right, first of all, when you texted Alex, Jezbollah, brilliant.
Jezbollah, yeah. I'm taking credit for that. Thank you.
Yeah. And Home Office duties, I've looked up definitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quote, every day our teams across the UK and beyond work to improve citizens' lives by giving people the means to travel the world. Tackling illegal migration and smuggling.
Oh, how's that going for me?
Removing foreign national offenders, disrupting terrorist attacks and organised criminal groups, stopping people from becoming victims of crime, and supporting those who need asylum and safeguarding. End of quote. Right, they do the last thing first, right? That's the first thing.
Yeah. Right. No, well, they don't do any of those things. That was a list of what they're supposed to do, but they actually don't do any of it.
They don't do any of it. Right, my next thing, we need ID cards stating our NI number, etc. If you are a genuine British national and legal in every way, you have nothing to fear. This will stop so much.
Well, you know what, Lisa, I respect your view on it, and I understand the logic of it. It would be a way, but I am very dubious about the idea of ID cards. I don't want this country to be a papers please nation. Yeah. In other words, you'll get stopped by the cop. Can I have an ID card, please? I don't want Britain to be one of those countries. I can see the logic of what you're saying, but don't forget, Tony Blair and the Labour Party are obsessed with giving us ID cards. You know why? Because it makes their job easier to control us.
But we can't. They don't know what they're doing. We don't know how many numbers we've got.
Yeah,
but they don't know what they're doing.
I get that, but I look. I'm not arguing. I'm not sort of saying that what you're saying is ridiculous. Of course, it makes sense. There's just something inside of me that rebels against the idea of ID cards. We're a rare country that doesn't have ID cards.
I don't want it, really. Can I just speak about Mrs. Thatcher, right? Thatcher, right? Thatcherism. Fierce nationalism, moral absolutism, and passionate devotion to the interests of the individual.
Yeah.
Right? Not Keir Starmer. he wants the world.
Well, it's the only he bestrides the world stage. Did you want to say something, Pete? Sorry.
I was just going to say, my thing with ID cards is if you look at Greece, when they introduced them, that the number of illegal migrants and all that crisis, they did drop dramatically. But my thing with this, with the problem I have with the British state having that much access to information is which train are they going to leave the laptop on? You know, it's the incompetence of the government having the level of access that I find terrifying more than anything else.
Lisa, the thing about socialists, and that's what our Labour government are, is they always want to control the people. ID cards are a method of controlling people. And you're right. I mean, I know it makes sense. I just don't like the idea. It's something inside of me, you know?
Logically, it makes sense, but viscerally, I'm like, no.
Anyway, Lisa, really good to talk to you. You get off to the Oasis concert, and we're going to have to continue with the show. Seriously, great to talk to you, Lisa. Call me back. It was good. Lisa in Cardiff there, and we've got a quick WhatsApp voice note from Dave on Zara Sultana.
Good evening, Kevin. Dave here. This girl, Sultana, she's nobody's fool, but she's everybody's idiot. And she's very rather current. Good show, mate.
That's a good one, Davey. It's like you said, Pete, only in Westminster can you actually say logically that person is very clever, but they're an idiot.
Yeah.
It is a truism in politics. You can have people like Zara Sultana. She's not a fool.
Yeah.
But she's an idiot.
Yes, exactly.
If that makes sense.
On the Conservative benches, we call it being a Chris Grayling. The definition of failing upwards. Everything he touched turned to a mess. Continued to rise. Now he's a member of the House of Lords.
To remember Ferrygate.
Oh,
let's not go into that.
That's that level of stress. That's that line there.
Yeah. Right. Let's quickly talk to final call. I think probably David in Derby. Hi, David.
Good evening, Kevin.
Oh, you want to talk about Rachel?
Yeah, we watched with interest, obviously, when she was crying on the sea.
We all watched that with interest.
Yeah, obviously, I think she's got no business sense whatsoever. It looks like she's either been thrown under the bus or a dead lady walking. I don't know if you agree with that.
Who knows, David? Because she should resign. She was on resignation watch the other day.
Yeah.
It's pure speculation.
She was at one point the most powerful person in this country because if she resigned, she'd taken out the government.
Yeah, well, I think
she was smart enough.
I reckon, David, the other day, this is just my version of events, pure speculation. I think she did say to Keir Starmer, I'm going to have to resign. Yeah. Keir Starmer said, you can't do that, you bring the government down, there's been a big row. Yeah. I think she did want to resign.
That's exactly my point. I would advise her to say like you advise, I'm going to resign tomorrow, call a press conference, and have a book deal.
Yeah.
Also,
a book deal. Rachel Reeves's book. Yeah.
Well, the last one she wrote wasn't her book anyway.
She's
65 days. I bet you're glad it weren't a leap year.
She's definitely going to write a book, David, but she's just got to find another one that she can copy. Yeah. That's what she does. She's a plagiarist as well as a liar about her career. Listen, David, let's just have our fingers crossed that she does go, but I don't think she will. But good call. Thank you for ringing. David in Derby, I'll just quickly read this message, rather like this. This is from Steve in Northamptonshire. Steve says, I do like Nigel Farage, but Dame Andrea Jenkins has next Prime Minister written all over her. Strong, assertive, but realistic and compassionate. She will take our country forward with strength and grace. Well, it works for me. It doesn't work for Pete. But
if I was Andrea, I'd be very careful about what somebody might run to the press and say about her, given reforms